So, Mr. Chairman, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
I rise today in support of H.R. 3408, which is known as the Protecting Investment in Oil, Shale, the Next Generation of Environmental Energy and Resource Security Act. This is primarily about the Keystone Pipeline. The Keystone Pipeline has been a topic of discussion in America for the last 3 or 4 years. When it came to the attention of Congress that this pipeline, which promises to create tens of thousands of jobs and increase our access to safe and secure supplies of oil, was experiencing an unreasonable level of delay, Congress decided that we needed to step in. We have in Keystone Pipeline a company willing to invest $7 billion in private funds at no expense to the taxpayer. That would ultimately bring nearly 1 million barrels of oil per day from Canada to the U.S. Additional oil per day. Even the President's Job Council agrees. Their report specifically suggested the pipeline is a win-win-win for job creation, modernizing the nation's infrastructure, and helping ultimately to lower gasoline prices in America. I would also like to point out that 5 major labor unions support the building of the Keystone Pipeline. A few years ago, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was in San Francisco giving a speech at the Commonwealth Club. In response to a question about Keystone Pipeline, whether or not they would issue the permit to build it, Secretary of State Clinton said, "We are inclined to do so." This project has now been studied for over 40 months by 7 or 8 agencies of the federal government. And normally, to build an oil pipeline in America, it takes on the average of 24 months. And when the Department of State issued their final environmental impact statement back in August 2011, they concluded that there were not any significant environmental issues. And they also said that when they looked at the option of either 1, building a pipeline, or 2, not building a pipeline, that the preferable option was to build the pipeline. And of course, the rationale for that is that if you don't build the pipeline and you bring oil in from other countries, you either have to do it by truck or by rail, which certainly emits a lot into the atmosphere. But despite all of these positive reasons to build this pipeline, President Obama made a blatantly political decision when he said, "I don't want to decide until after the presidential election." And that's when Congress got involved and said, "We'd like a decision by February of 2012. And the President said, "Well, I don't have enough time to study it, so I'm not going to allow it." Even though it's been studied for 40 months, this is a 1,700-mile pipeline. The only issue left relates to about 60 miles in the state of Nebraska, and the governor of Nebraska supports building this pipeline. So this is a win-win-win situation for the American people, and I would urge our fellow members to support this legislation to require FERC to make a decision on this pipeline, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Kentucky reserves the balance of his time.